Who was Ea-Nasir, the first crook in history? In this video, I want to talk about Ea-Nasir, who is appearing on the screen. Recently, several memes have appeared with this image. A man with bulging eyes, a long beard, and clasped hands, associated with the name Ea-Nasir, supposedly the first crook or swindler documented in history. We will see that this is true, but the story is much more complex. Ea-Nasir is an intriguing and in some ways comical historical figure who bears the unenviable title of first documented crook in history. He lived around 1750 BC during the period of the Ea-Nasir dynasty, a fascinating era of transition in ancient Mesopotamia, situated between the height of the Sumerians and the rise of the Babylonians. As a merchant, Ea-Nasir dealt in metals, especially copper, which was a highly valuable commodity at the time. But instead of being remembered as an exemplary merchant, he left his mark on history through business practices that infuriated his customers. So much so that some of them took the trouble to record their complaints on clay tablets. These tablets, written in the distinctive Mesopotamian cuneiform, were discovered centuries later by archaeologists and reveal a human and universal side that connects the past to the present. They set out detailed complaints, such as late deliveries, goods of inferior quality than promised, and apparently non-existent customer service. One of them, written by a customer named Nanni, is a genuine letter of outrage, demanding an explanation for the poor quality copper sent and lamenting the treatment received. This small fragment of everyday frustration engraved on clay has survived thousands of years, creating a direct link to problems that many of us face to this day. After all, who has never had to deal with a supplier who does not deliver what they promise? Ea-Nasir's legacy has taken on new life in the digital age, where he has become a sensation among history buffs and meme creators. The irony of his old-fashioned business practices resonating with modern situations, such as products that don't live up to expectations or a lack of customer service, has turned his reputation into a source of humor, bringing a light-hearted tone to one of the oldest eras of civilization. Although his story is steeped in official documents, the laughter it provokes today reinforces how little some human dynamics have changed over the centuries. Historical context: Ea-Nasir was an active merchant in Ur, one of the great cities of Sumer and one of the most prosperous urban centers in ancient Mesopotamia. Strategically situated between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, Ur was a major commercial and cultural hub, home to temples, markets, and trade networks that connected different parts of the ancient world. In this dynamic context, Ea-Nasir traded primarily in metals, especially copper, which was a vital commodity for the manufacture of tools, weapons, and ornaments. He obtained his copper from Dilmun, a prosperous region that corresponds to modern-day Bahrain and was known at the time as a strategic point in the maritime trade between Mesopotamia and the Indus Valley. After importing these materials, Ea-Nasir resold them to local and regional customers. However, his reputation as a merchant soon deteriorated. Many of the metals he supplied were of inferior quality to what was promised, and complaints were not limited to his products. Ea-Nasir's customer service also left much to be desired. He ignored complaints, delayed deliveries, and apparently treated his customers with disdain. His buyers' dissatisfaction reached such a point that some recorded their complaints on clay tablets. These complaints, preserved for thousands of years, offer a unique insight into how Mesopotamians handled trade disputes and reveal that problems with suppliers and poor quality products are as old as trade itself. Nanni's complaint, the most iconic example of Ea-Nasir's controversial practices, is recorded in one of the oldest complaints in history, written by a customer named Nanni. This document, engraved on a clay tablet in cuneiform script, is a vivid testament to the frustrations of an unhappy customer in ancient Mesopotamia. Nanni had sent a messenger to collect a batch of copper he had ordered from Ea-Nasir. However, what should have been a simple business transaction turned into a source of contention. The copper delivered was of inferior quality to that promised, a direct blow to the trust placed in the merchant. To make matters worse, Nanni's messenger was mistreated by Ea-Nasir. behavior that went beyond the norms expected of a merchant of the time. Indignant, Nanni wrote his formal complaint on a clay tablet. In the text, he not only demanded that Ea-Nasir, he was also demanding respect, something he considered indispensable in a commercial relationship. Nanni even threatened to exercise his right to personally inspect and select the ingots to avoid future problems. This complaint, which has transcended millennia, connects us directly to ancient Mesopotamia, showing that commercial relationships, with their failures and disputes, have deep roots in human history. It also immortalized Ea-Nasir as a symbol of dissatisfaction with poor quality services and products, making him a timeless figure and today, an icon in meme culture. Other records, Ea-Nasir's reputation as a troublesome merchant is not limited to Nanni's case. Other clay tablets, preserved over the centuries, reveal a pattern of complaints and disagreements involving his commercial practices. These inscriptions, written in cuneiform, paint an even more comprehensive portrait of Ea-Nasir's behavior, highlighting his troubled reputation among clients and colleagues. Many of these tablets are letters sent by other merchants or representatives who formally and at times exasperatedly requested that Ea-Nasir act more honestly in his dealings. They document not only dissatisfaction with the inferior quality of his products but also with his discourteous behavior and lack of interest in resolving disputes. One notable example is the case of Ea-Nasir, a powerful client whose business relationship with Ea-Nasir seemed fraught enough that a fellow guild member sent the merchant an explicit recommendation. In this letter, the fellow guild member urged Ea-Nasir to treat Ea-Nasir with the utmost care, suggesting that failure or disrespect could result in severe reprisals. Such warnings show that while Ea-Nasir was bold in his approach, he still operated in an environment where alliances and reputations carried considerable weight. These records add layers to Ea-Nasir's story, demonstrating that he not only frustrated his clients but also worried other members of his trading network. They reinforce the idea that, from ancient times, improper business practices and unethical conduct were monitored and, when necessary, reported, even if in rudimentary ways, such as through clay tablets, Ea-Nasir's house, archaeological excavations in the ancient city of Ur have uncovered a fascinating glimpse into Ea-Nasir's life and business operations. Among the artifacts found is a residence that researchers attribute to the notorious merchant, located in an area that likely functioned as an important hub of mercantile activity in the city. The most intriguing find within this residence was a veritable archive of clay tablets containing business correspondence that chronicles both Ea-Nasir's dealings and the conflicts surrounding his name. In addition to Nanni's famous complaint, the tablets include other complaints from clients and business partners, reinforcing the notion that his reputation as a merchant of questionable practices was widely known and documented at the time. Fur house, with its dedicated storage spaces for goods, suggests that Ea-Nasir ran an active and probably prosperous business, despite the constant controversies. His operations involved both receiving goods from as far away as Dilmun and redistributing these products to local and regional consumers. This demonstrates his importance as an intermediary in the vast Mesopotamian trade network. At the same time, the fact that so many complaints were recorded and found in his own home highlights a curious contradiction. Ea-Nasir was a merchant, whose dishonesty seemed to coexist with a system in which customers and partners did not hesitate to express their grievances formally. These records not only highlight the problems, but also indicate the level of administrative and legal sophistication in Mesopotamian society, where even crooks could be held accountable, even if their failures did not prevent them from continuing to operate. Ea-Nasir's house, with its tablets and wares, remains a physical and narrative testament to how trade, conflict, and grievances shaped life in ancient Mesopotamia. Cultural significance and modern memes. Ea-Nasir's story transcends the boundaries of time, acquiring a cultural significance that goes far beyond the clay tablets of ancient Mesopotamia. Although his existence is confined to a distant period in history, his reputation as a dishonest trader finds surprising parallels in contemporary situations, making him an unlikely symbol of poor customer service. In the age of the internet, where information exchange is instantaneous and curious stories gain popularity. With a global profile, Ea-Nasir has emerged as a protagonist of memes and online jokes. The complaints against him, which capture the frustration and almost comical tone of aggrieved customers, are universally connected to modern experiences, such as receiving inferior products, unexplained delays, or unpleasant interactions with salespeople. Phrases such as, "the first documented scammer in history," or "Ea-Nasir delivering bad copper since 1750 BC," have become popular buzzwords on social media platforms. Memes place him alongside questionable practices of today, from digital marketplace sellers to shoddy service provided by well-known companies. The irony that basic business problems, broken promises, and unhappy customers have remained unchanged for millennia makes Ea-Nasir a figure both hilarious and provocative. More than a joke, the phenomenon surrounding Ea-Nasir reflects a human tendency to seek connection with the past in creative and accessible ways. He bridges the ages, showing that while historical contexts change, the challenges of human and commercial relationships remain surprisingly consistent. In this way, Ea-Nasir has solidified himself as a modern cultural icon, an example of how history can be humorously reinterpreted to shed light on our own experiences. The longevity of his infamy, from clay tablets to internet virality, is a testament to how the past can resonate in the present in unexpected and captivating ways. Historical sources. The main evidence for Ea-Nasir comes from clay tablets written in cuneiform, preserved in the British Museum. These documents, written in Akkadian, a Semitic language widely used in ancient Mesopotamia, record detailed complaints from his dissatisfied customers. These tablets provide a first-hand look at Ea-Nasir's business practices and how he handled his business dealings. Ea-Nasir's story is frequently cited in scholarly articles and archaeological analyses that study the economy and business practices of Mesopotamia. He is considered a classic example of dishonest business dealings, illuminating aspects of the society and economic systems of that time. Scholars use these accounts as a window into the complexity of business relationships and trade networks in the ancient world. A 2018 Forbes article popularized Ea-Nasir's story, presenting him as the worst businessman in ancient history. The article's accessible and humorous approach highlighted the modern relevance of his dishonest practices, drawing attention to both the historical value and cultural impact of his story. Scholarly and historical works on Mesopotamia also help to contextualize Ea-Nasir's story, providing additional information about the period in which he lived. Books such as The Ancient Near East, A History by William W. Hullo and William Kelly Simpson, provide comprehensive analyses of Near Eastern civilizations, while Mesopotamia, Civilization Begins by Jill A. Rubalcaba, provides a detailed introduction to the development of early civilizations in the region. These sources help to understand the environment in which Ea-Nasir operated, as well as the historical significance of his actions. Ea-Nasir's motivations. A puzzling question about Ea-Nasir is what led a seemingly well-established merchant to engage in such dishonest and risky practices. Was he a greedy man who prioritized quick profits above all else? Or did his behavior reflect the economic and logistical challenges of the time? Mesopotamia, known for its vibrant trade, was also a place of political instability and resource scarcity. The inferior quality of his products could have been linked to the difficulty of obtaining good materials in Dilmun, or to the pressure to meet growing demand in and around Ur. Ea-Nasir may have been an opportunist, or perhaps someone who believed that his practices would not result in significant consequences. Repercussions on his time. Although we know that Ea-Nasir accumulated grievances, little is known about the impact that these grievances had on his life and business. Did he lose important clients or suffer from boycotts? Or was it that, despite his bad reputation, he was able to continue operating due to the lack of alternatives in the market? It is possible that, in Mesopotamian society, his social position or business connections protected him from more severe consequences. After all, the mere existence of so many preserved grievances suggests that his clients continued to do business with him, even if reluctantly. Ea-Nasir, as a reflection of his time. The figure of Ea-Nasir offers a fascinating window into the economic system of ancient Mesopotamia. His case allows us to understand how trade networks worked, on contracts and expectations of quality in business. Mesopotamia was a trading center of vast influence, but it also faced significant challenges, such as transportation logistics and variability in product quality. Ea-Nasir's behavior could be seen as a response to these difficulties, indicating that although commercial practices were well established, regulatory mechanisms were still rudimentary. Customer psychology in Mesopotamia. Another interesting aspect is how the complaints against Ea-Nasir reflect the expectations of customers of his time. Nanni's complaint, for example, shows that there was a clear sense of consumer rights even at such an early date. Customers expected respect, quality, and compliance with contracts, and were willing to register their grievances formally. This suggests that, despite technological limitations, the Mesopotamians already had a sophisticated trading system in which trust played a crucial role. Popular culture and modernity. Ea-Nasir's story has taken on new life in the digital age, becoming a cultural symbol for bad service and scammers. His modern fame is due to the fact that the experiences described on clay tablets nearly 4,000 years ago still resonate with the frustrations of the contemporary consumer. He has been called the first documented scammer and has become the subject of memes that transform Nanni into a kind of consumer hero. This modern cultural resonance raises interesting questions about how seemingly small problems can become timeless and universal. Personal life and sidelines. Despite his infamy as a merchant, little is known about Ea-Nasir's personal life. Did he have a family? Was he involved in religious or political activities in Ur? Was he seen as a pillar of the community, or was he a marginalized figure? His house, discovered in excavations, suggests that he had some financial stability, but the complaining tablets indicate that his social standing may have been challenged. It is possible that, outside of his trading practices, Ea-Nasir was active in other aspects of community life. Comparative analysis with other merchants. Although Ea-Nasir is well known, he was probably not the only merchant with questionable practices in Mesopotamia. Ancient trade was fraught with risk and difficulty, and it is possible that other merchants faced similar challenges. A comparison between Ea-Nasir and his contemporaries would help to put his conduct into context. Was he exceptionally dishonest? Or was he simply a typical example of how some merchants dealt with the difficulties of trade at the time? Impact on trade. Confidence. Finally, Ea-Nasir's case raises questions about the impact of dishonest trade practices on the overall confidence of the Mesopotamian economic system. Was he an exception who drew attention to himself for his conduct? Or does the existence of so many complaints suggest that there was a broader culture of distrust in trade? His story highlights the importance of regulatory mechanisms and reinforces how trust is essential to the healthy functioning of any economy, whether ancient or modern. By exploring these aspects, we can further enrich our understanding of Ea-Nasir and the fascinating world of Mesopotamia, showing how even a historical swindler can offer valuable insights into humanity. If you enjoyed this incredible story about Ea-Nasir, the first swindler in history, don't miss the chance to continue exploring fascinating content like this. Subscribe to our channel now and ensure access to surprising curiosities about the past and present. Also, share this content with your friends and family so they can also learn and enjoy these unique stories. Your participation is essential, so leave your comment. Tell us what you think and suggest new topics. Let's build a community full of knowledge and fun together.